Here to help us better understand the full extent of the Joe Biden corruption scandal is the author of multiple fantastic books exposing the corruption of our establishment, Secret Empires, Profiles in Corruption, and most recently, Red-Handed, How American Elites Get Rich Helping China. Here he is, Peter Schweizer. So let's start with this cash for gas thing, because as I said, I don't think it's got enough attention. But actually, if we can show, if the records can show that our taxpayer money went directly to Burisma while Biden was in charge of Ukraine policy, that is absolutely cut and dried corruption, isn't it?
I think it is, Steve. You're absolutely right. And look, let's be clear. It's not a sufficient defense politically or legally for a politician to say, well, yeah, my family got money, but I would have made that same decision even if they had not received the money. That's not a sufficient answer. So for Joe Biden to say, well, I would have supported the Ukrainian gas industry anyway, simply does not cut it. The timing is very clear, Steve. Let's remember, Joe Biden became point person on Ukraine policy from Barack Obama after Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine in February of 2014. Within 3 weeks of that appointment, his son is put on the board of Burisma with no experience in energy, Ukrainian policy, or anything. It's clear that millions and millions of dollars of taxpayer dollars did go to Burisma. Here's the problem. One of those investors in Burisma that received that fund is a gentleman named Kolomoisky, who is a Ukrainian oligarch. He was the chief financial backer of the current president of Ukraine, which would be Mr. Zelensky.
Wow. That's an interesting connection. What else would you say? I mean, we're just ramping up these investigations now that the Republicans have taken back the House. We've got James Comer coming up a little bit later in the show. What are you looking for? What do we need to dig into now that you've actually got the power of subpoena and so on? What do you want to see happen?
I would focus primarily on China because this, I think, is truly frightening, and I don't say that lightly. We know, based on the laptop, the emails, the U.S. Treasury Department suspicious activity reports that have been released, that the Bidens have received some $31 million from Chinese entities. When you look at the businessmen that made that happen, that made those deals happen, Steve, all of them have links to the highest levels of Chinese intelligence. So a gentleman named Che Feng, he helped Hunter Biden get on BHR, that Chinese investment fund that netted Hunter some $20 million. At the precise same time he is setting Hunter Biden up with that deal, Che Feng is also business partners with a gentleman named Ma Jian, who happens to be the vice minister of state security in China with responsibility for foreign espionage. If you look at Henry Zhao, who wired $5 million to Hunter Biden, he wired that from an account that he shared with the daughter of the former Minister of State Security who runs the entire spy apparatus of China. This is all based on Hong Kong financial records and corporate records, and there are others. The bottom line is all the money that Hunter Biden and the Biden family received out of China came from individuals with ties to the highest levels of Chinese intelligence, and there's no discernible business service that Hunter Biden performed for any of that money.
It's amazing. And you just one last question, Peter, just quickly, which is, I remember I saw Ron Johnson the other week on Meet the Press, and Chuck Todd said to him in a dismissive way, well, you know, what did Hunter Biden do here that was illegal? And the point is, it's not so much that it's illegal. The problem is it's not illegal because it is the business model, but it's totally corrupt, right?
Yeah, I mean, imagine if during the Cold War, Jimmy Carter or Ronald Reagan's kids were doing business deals with Russian businessmen linked to the KGB. Would their defense be, well, hey, there's nothing illegal about it? It's an absurd standard. The reason you launch investigations is to figure out what happened, whether it's legal or illegal. We need to know why this foreign money, whether it was from Ukraine, China, or Russia, found its way to the Bidens, and literally they performed no discernible services for any of it. These are not charities. They gave them this money for a reason, and we need to find out what it was.
Absolutely. Well, honestly, we wouldn't be anywhere on any of these stories without all the work that you've been doing for years on it. So thank you for that, Peter, and thank you for being with us tonight.